I think this is where she slams the door on her mother, and the person doing the reaction is still blaming the mother. Now, I don't automatically take the mother's side and things because I have been a daughter and a mother. From a daughter's viewpoint, you do think, I wish she would stop talking to me. But from a mother's standpoint, I'm talking to you because you're my child and I have made mistakes I don't want you to have to make. And I can't understand why treating me like you recognize I'm a human being who has been responsible for you is something that is difficult. It doesn't make any kind of sense. But when you think about the Ten Commandments, the commandment that comes with a promise of future success is the one about, I'm trying to get back to the video because it's still here, is the one that says honor your father and your mother. And I think that there's a reason why it adds and your mother, because, people being what they are, if they had just said honor your father, the authors might have said, well, you don't have to honor your mother. That's what I mean by I think that every word in the Bible is put there for a reason. There's the mother, and she is going off. And they talked, explicitly with each other. And that is also a symptom of narcissism. They have no boundaries. There is no sense of, I shouldn't talk about this. There is no sense of, let's just keep this in the house instead of let's broadcast it on YouTube, right at the moment so people can see exactly. Narcissism is not just in the hood, but it is more dangerous in the hood because people don't have money to run away from it, to say, okay, this kid, I love this kid, this is my kid, but I'm going to give them money to move out. I'm going to send them, let's see, I'm in New York, I'm going to send them to California. Or maybe Ghana would look good for them this kind of year. Or shoot, go to Nigeria, go somewhere. But you're still my child. I will support you financially, but you can't come here. It's like the movie with Whoopi Goldberg, and let me pull that up. Like Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Nobody's Fool with Tiffany Haddish, where she pretended she wasn't there so that Tiffany could not move back home with her. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to do that. And there are other books that tell you that this disrespect is a sign of the end times. Okay, this is the book of 2nd Esdras. Hold on one moment. And this is 2nd Esdras 5, 8 through 10. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. That always got to me. Menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Well, I think that the way this girl is behaving is monstrous, because if you don't like your mother, the good thing about childhood, I've always thought, is that it ends. If there's something you don't like, you don't have to stick around, move out. You're grown. However, I think financially, if people could stick together, it would really help them both. What is the point in paying some non-black, usually person, $800 a month to live in their house when you could stay at home and help build up your own family? And also, if and when your parents or grandparents pass, that is a place that's already paid for. That's where a lot of other races really do have an advantage over African Americans, and that they respect their neighborhoods. They don't just jump up and decide, well, here is where black people live. I need to go where there is a mixed population. If people who were nonviolent stayed in the original places, they wouldn't be so nonviolent. But that's another story altogether. And it continues at 9. And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber. and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and inconstancy be multiplied upon earth. Now, like I said, when I was looking at this video, the person who was giving the commentary was basically saying that she was basically blaming the mom and saying, well, you raised her to be like this. But how you raise the child is not always the way the child will turn out. It really isn't. Sometimes children are born with something that you did not give them. And you also have to consider they have two parents. You may not have been that way, but maybe the person you married was, out there. Because I do believe that narcissism is something that can be inherited. But also, we live in a time that encourages it, and that we don't hold certain people accountable for their behavior. I mean, I believe that there have been a lot of times when children have stood up and shown that they had a certain amount of bravery or righteousness. Every day people show their character, not just when they turn 18. So I think that we have to hold that children, as the Bible said, some of them are born, they come on this earth doing things. Like this old movie called The Bad Seed from like 1955, and it was showing then that this little girl wasn't her parents' fault. Her mother was being very nurturing and understanding, but the little girl was going out killing people. And if you look at Lifetime and such, you are given many, many examples of narcissism, yet people act like it's when it's happening right beside them, they don't recognize it. And one of the major signs of a narcissist, they take no accountability for themselves, their behavior, or anyone else. This mother is saying to her daughter, clean up after your child. I took care of you. It's your turn to take care of your child. I'm being kind enough to say you can both stay here. You're not working. You're not contributing. The least you can do is clean up. Okay? But the commentator is looking at it like, well, it's your fault. You should have done this. You should have done that. Well, no, this is an adult now. She's 20. You can forever go through your life blaming your parents, but ultimately, you decide what you are. So, this is just something to consider, and I just thought, this is narcissism in the hood. We don't tend to think that it applies to us, to black people. It's just like everything else. Other races have the same thing, but it affects us on a much deeper level. So, please feel free to comment, to share. Let me know what you think, because that's why I did the Weeknd's lyrics, because I think he's telling you right there how a narcissist thinks. What was he saying? I saw you dancing and you looked so happy when you weren't with me, so I want to come back, not because I want to help you or make you happy again. I want to come back, so let me in because I want to come back. It's what I want. I didn't finish you off last time. I want to come back and get you now. If this woman, if her daughter really is narcissistic, if this mother honestly does get her daughter out of the house, if she says, okay, get out, she calls the police, gets the daughter out, the daughter comes back 2 months later and says, my boyfriend put me out, don't make me and my son go to a shelter, they do horrible things in the shelter. Okay. If she looks at it the way the world will tell her to look at it, well, that's your baby. You need to take care of her. If she does that and lets her back in, her daughter will probably be worse. Because she can be. There are some people who are really here just to steal, kill, and destroy. And sometimes, generally, if you listen to this man online called H.G. Tudor, he'll explain to you, because he says he is a narcissistic psychopath. And, I tend to think people know who they are. But he basically says that's just what they do. Some of them don't think about it. They don't have to. They're just destroyers, period. And if you They pick out certain people, generally people who have kind hearts, people who say, okay, you're my daughter no matter what. You made a mistake, you can come live with me, until the person walks over them to the point where they finally say, you have to leave. And even then, they still get blamed. That's another thing narcissists are good at, is smearing. And the more the society becomes accepting of narcissism, the easier it is to blame the victim for the behavior of another person. As I said before, this is an adult, and even if she wasn't, I think children are responsible for the way they behave to a certain extent. But the mother gets blamed for getting really upset, and she actually showed how the apartment was looking with things thrown all over the floor. She was even complaining about, you don't take care of your own child. If you've raised a child and you've done the best you could trying to keep things neat and clean for the child, to see the child not carrying that on is painful. But I think it goes back to the scripture I showed you before. Let me pull that up. 2 Timothy 3:1-5, and the last 4 words from verse 5 are, from such turn away. It didn't say unless it's your daughter, unless it's your child, unless people will blame you. If you are the victim, people will blame you. I got stuck in a really rotten marriage, partially because I was constantly getting blamed. I was constantly trying to fix it so people will stop saying that I'm responsible for the behavior of a grown man. After a while, you have to say, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm here to serve the Most High, and He knows what's going on. So, this is just something for you to consider. And you guys, you have a great rest of your day.